it's all about setting yourself up for progression. So I would always err on side of caution when it comes to picking your loading. I would rather undershoot the weight than overshoot the weight. Keep your rep ranges between 7 to 12 reps. I think that's the best rep range for bodybuilding across the board. Okay. 7 to 12. A little bit less on the compound work, a little bit higher on the isolation work, if I was to give you rough ranges, okay? That is the rep ranges that I would like to set for all of you guys. That's where I think you will make the best progress and be able to, most importantly, keep your execution tight. The further you are from your natural set point of the muscle, the more gear you will need, unfortunately, to hold it. And that's the reality of it. So let me give you an average. Between 200 to 600 milligram total of anabolics, and most of that, in some cases, it will be testosterone only. In some cases, it will be a mix of testosterone and the DHT. For me personally, it's going to be 400 milligrams of test initially for the first 2-3 weeks, and then I will probably add in 100 milligrams of Primo for a couple of weeks, and then my off season begins. Because based off my blood work, I will not need longer than 5 weeks in a health phase now.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Think Big Bodybuilding Media. I'm Scott McNally, of course. I am joined again by Kuba Cielen. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to cover today. Thank you for joining us. If you're new to our content, we'd love to have you along for everything. We've got several podcasts, so like, share, subscribe, and as Dusty would say, Kuba, what would Dusty say?
Ring the bell.
You got it, man. You got it. Dude, you're looking pretty sunken in there, man. What's going on?
Listen, man, for me, post-show phase is an extension of prep. Essentially, the prep that I've had was the best prep that I have ever had in my life. 24-week prep. We started prep at 280. I ended up on stage at 242. And last year, my lowest point was like 225. This year, my lowest point was 239, I believe, like depleted. Yeah. So substantial bit of progress. And to be honest, I didn't really push the drugs, nothing really exotic. I definitely think I could have made more progress just through simply lowering my training volume. I started off my training volume way too high post-show last year, and as I actually brought my training volume down each phase, I made more and more progress. So that is a lesson that I have taken into this year for this post-show phase. But this prep, Scott, it was so easy and so manageable because I wasn't really fat when it started, and I was in a very healthy position. I was mentally and physically in a good spot. Blood work was amazing. Blood work actually sustained throughout prep. So I was looking for ways to make the prep harder.
You said that in the last show.
Yeah,
you're like, I gotta be careful, man. I want to keep doing more.
But that's exactly what I did, and I definitely withered my legs away, because what I ended up doing is, instead of doing my normal steps that I would normally do outside, general walk, 10,000 steps, which again, my steps never went above 12,000. What I started doing instead was 40 minutes on the treadmill on an incline, walking at 5 kilometers per hour on a 4% incline, not holding on. And the thing is,
it's like a run, basically.
Because I am super fit and I sustain a baseline activity level year round, that's nothing for me. But yeah, my legs just got flatter and flatter, especially when I was comparing my legs in the off season versus like prep and peak week. I'm like, I just completely withered my legs away. But listen to this. Listen. Let's just be real. I am still not in a position where I will be creeping into the first call outs. I still need at least another 10, 12 pounds of muscle. I need to be on stage leaner than I was this year, heavier by another 10 pounds at least. So this year, I've got to appreciate the progress. I've got to appreciate the package that I've brought. I've got to appreciate the accuracy that I've had in prep and the lessons I've had in prep in the peak weeks. But essentially, I need to do better. And this is exactly why time has definitely come to maximize this post-show window. And this, for me, is very much an extension of prep. Post-show, the first meal that I had was 3 whole eggs, 200 grams of egg whites, a big bowl of fruit. And I actually weighed it out and I actually put it in my tracker, because that's the way I am. And the thing is, for me, it's much easier, especially post-show, to stay locked in than it is to you know, eat off plan and be a pig. And next day, I woke up because I was feeling devastated because I actually partially tore my brachialis tendon in my right bicep on stage posing in the first round in Germany. So that's something we can touch on maybe a little bit later. But first, I kind of want to go step by step.
Yeah.
Step by step. That, yes, essentially, I always treat my post-show phase with the same importance, if not more, than the prep itself. Because what you do post-show essentially sets you up for your entire off-season. That 5 to 6 window of time that you have post-show is either going to make your off-season or break it. Now, I am not telling you guys to not enjoy yourself. I am actually saying the opposite. Your post-show recovery phase is the time to give back to your loved ones. It's a time to spend more time with family, but you have to put a strategy in place, especially when it comes to your calorific intake around that. Your post-show phase doesn't mean you actually stop your diet. Your post-show phase, you should immediately start your off-season diet, which is exactly what I did. The day after, all my food was cooked and prepped. And the main reason why I didn't really eat off plan is because I wasn't in the mood. I'll be honest with you, Scott. Because the prep wasn't severe, because I didn't have to push, I took my time in prep. I have no food focus, and I didn't use any GLP-1s. I didn't struggle with hunger. I didn't struggle with food focus at any point in prep. And I'll be honest, like previous preps, hunger was extremely high. This year, yes, hunger, you know, I never felt satisfied with meals. And right now, I don't feel satisfied with meals. But fact of the matter is, I think because I'm so hyper-focused on the goal still, I think it somewhat negates it. But essentially, I wasn't in the mood to eat off plan. Normally, I would always eat off plan to allow my body weight to come up a little bit. But I'll be honest, I would rather take my time, give it a week or two, build up my actual baseline calories. And Scott, when you are patient with this, and when you do not drive up your body weight through off-plan meals post-show, you would be shocked how quickly you can actually rebuild your calories back up.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Versus if you have that cheat meal, then it's like, well, now we can't do anything else until you deplete again. You know what I mean?
I will give you an example, right? My client, Tom, his 5-week post-show now, he didn't really eat off-plan post-show. And listen, I had to tell him to take his missus out. I was like, listen, you have to take the wife out. So he literally took her out for a steak and brought his own potatoes.
Brought his own potatoes.
He brought his own potatoes, mate.
Yeah.
So, his start point with calories, post-show. On training day, it was 3,600. On rest day, it was like 2,900.
Okay.
Now, we are exactly 5 weeks post-show. His calories on training day are 4,300. On rest day, 3,400. And his glutes are still fully striated.
Wow.
And we have been able to do that in such a short space of time because he controlled his eating, and we've actually gone from 99.4 kilos up to 102.1 kilo now. And his condition has barely changed.
Yeah.
He just looks fuller, bigger, rounder, and genuinely, he's transforming. He's just getting bigger and better. So this is where the value of taking your time post-show and really committing to that phase and treating it like your prep is going to bring you so much benefit. And guys, listen, I understand it's very, very hard. And the biggest issue is people often chase satiety. People expect to feel full after meals post-show because they get that food increase. Let me be real with you guys. Do not chase satiety. It won't happen.
Not until you get fat. It's the only way that it'll stop. Like you get fat and that's where the hunger goes away finally.
You've literally took words out of my mouth. The only way to take the hunger away is get fat. But guess what happens? You get fat, your ability to build muscle diminishes.
Oh yeah.
Your insensitivity gets shot. And the huge thing people often forget, the fatter you are, in my opinion, the less of a response you actually get from androgens. You
go with
really
that.
do.
I
One,
believe that.
you get a lot more conversion to estrogen from your testosterone dose, and I do believe the more body fat you carry, it's almost like the cycle is less effective.
Yeah,
And
I go with that.
I have no scientific explanation, but I have seen this myself and with numerous clients. When you add drugs in and you are already holding a substantial amount of body fat, not much happens. When you add drugs in and you are lean, that is when the magic happens, because you have the opportunity then to not only layer the drugs on, but you also have the opportunity then to keep layering on the extra calories as of when you need them.
Yeah. Let's give us an example. Like this could be like a take home for everybody.
Yep.
Let's say you take a guy, he just competed at 190, meaning
Yep.
he walks around at like 220, you know, in the off season, maybe even a little bit heavier than that.
Yep.
He just got off stage at 190. Let's say he's been eating 200 carbs into the show still. He's able to handle 200 carbs. What would you do with the food then post contest for, because the main thing I'm trying to get at is how quickly should we increase? What would be a good start?
Oh man, it's an amazing question. If someone can control themselves post show and not binge, not drive up, a huge amount of body weight through basically fucking pizza and burgers.
Yeah.
The first step, I would lower his expenditure if his expenditure is high.
Yep.
So let's say he's doing 12,000 steps and 20 minutes of cardio daily. I would remove cardio completely out. I would keep probably 40 micrograms of cleaning for the first week post-show. Then I would remove it. I would also add in an extra 100 grams of carbohydrates on his training day, and potentially 50, depending on what his carbs was on rest day. Let's say if his carbs was 200 training day, 100 rest day. I would probably add 100 on training day and 75 on rest day.
Okay.
That's the first step. And that's 400 calories added from food alone. Yeah. Plus, you also get some calories that are shaved off from the expenditure. So essentially, it's like giving him a 600 calorie bump. And I can promise you, if he adhered to the diet, then I would expect to be bringing his food back up again by additional 200 calories maybe over probably 10 days, if not even a week. So with Tom, he actually started his post-show diet. We gave it 10 days and he started losing weight. So we brought his calories up immediately. And then again, 7 days going again, we've seen a little rise in body weight. Body weight started to hold again. And then, guess what again? He's looking leaner, fuller, rounder. Body weight dips slightly and holds. Guess what? Green light to add more food.
Yeah.
Training performance keeps increasing. Volume stays low. Strength's increasing. Energy levels are getting higher. Sleep restored within 10 days.
Yeah.
All these things play a massive role. And what people often forget is, if you gain too much weight too quickly, your resting heart rate is crazy elevated, you're holding a lot of water, your recovery actually diminishes. You start feeling sluggish and your sleep is impaired from that alone. Yeah. So it's a fine balance that you have to have between gaining just enough body weight to restore your sleep, recovery, training performance, and energy levels without gaining an excessive amount of body weight to the point where you will feel sluggish, ruin your sensitivity, and ruin your sleep essentially, because you've gained so much weight, you're probably giving yourself sleep apnea. And again, you cannot get comfortable, you're laid in bed, tossing and turning. All these things play a huge role. Now, I don't like to work in averages. A lot of coaches like to give rough guidelines with percentages, because realistically, Scott, what we have to understand working with real people is everyone's going to be different.
Yeah, everyone's going to have a different response to that 200 or 100 carbs you're adding.
Absolutely, in, right? Absolutely. Some people might gain an enormous amount of weight off it. Some people might not. Some people might just burn through it. Anabolics come into play. How hard someone trains comes into play. Someone's daily routine, someone's lifestyle. It's like everyone's on this mitochondria kick at the moment, but the easiest way to fix your mitochondria is sleep, lifestyle, nutrition. If someone reduce stress, absolutely. If someone's nailing all these variables, magic progress can happen. Yeah. So I don't like to work off averages because some people post-show may need to gain a little bit more than others. And that's fine. You have to assess the response. Post-show, for at least a week or two, I like people to still check in with me daily, as they have been for pretty much 5-6 weeks before the show.
Yeah.
So that way I can actually see the biofeedback, I can see how they're feeling, I can see how the weight's trending, and we can make adjustments based off that, extra rest days, extra food here and there as of when it's needed, especially for females. So you have to work off the feedbacks client giving you. However, one bit of feedback that you have to ignore is when a client tells you they're hungry, because 9 times out of 10, what you have to understand is hunger and drive to eat are not the same. It's something I actually had a conversation with someone earlier about, because his calories are pretty high now, and he's actually eating 7 meals a day, right? And I was like, dude, you're not hungry. You just have a high drive to eat.
Yeah.
There is a lag time between your brain and gut. When you eat a meal, it takes around 20 minutes for your brain to register that there is actually food in your stomach. Guess what happens post-prep when people have a higher drive to eat?
They keep eating for that next 20 minutes, right?
They eat super fast. They eat super fast. So they do not even realize that they are eating so fast, the brain, it hasn't even registered they've eaten. So they will not feel like they've eaten. But you give yourself a little bit of time, keep drinking water, and guess what? You will feel a little bit less hunger. But the reality is, guys, post-show, you are not going to feel satisfied, or the hunger's not going to go away unless you are ramming in 10 milligrams of tirzepatide a week. And that is just something you have to accept. But the way I look at it, it's more so like and I don't want to wear it like a badge of honor, but I take a lot of pride in nailing the post-show, where I can almost extend that post-show window where I can do a 30-week off-season, Scott. And that's essentially my plan now. So let me just break down what my preliminary plans are now. And I think that will give people a great idea.
Let me ask you one more question on that, on the rebound.
Yeah.
What do we do with gear? Now, I know that everybody's going to have a different situation, and a big part of that is going to be how far out did we start the gear? How hard were they pushing it? But I'd love to hear some scenarios.
I'm going to give you an average.
Okay, yeah.
And the average is going to be based off someone's musculature, so someone's size. The average is going to be based off the goals and the previous gear use. Okay. And what they actually need to sustain the muscle that they actually have. The further you are from your natural set point with the muscle, the more gear you will need, unfortunately, to hold it. And that's the reality of it. So let me give you an average. Between 200 to 600 milligram total of anabolics, and most of that, in some cases, it will be testosterone only. In some cases, it will be a mix of testosterone and a DHT. For me personally, it's going to be 400 milligrams of test initially for the first 2-3 weeks, and then I will probably add in 100 milligrams of Primo for a couple of weeks, and then my off-season begins. Because based off my blood work, I will not need longer than 5 weeks in a health phase now.
Okay.
That's my example. But
okay,
I have clients where this will range between 200 milligrams of testosterone, which is almost a legit TRT, up to 600 milligrams. Because guess what? If someone is stepping on stage at 250 pounds, 260 pounds, they are not going to hold their muscle on 200 mils of gear. Let's just be real. Growth hormone, between 5 to 10 IUs. I think if you are looking to actually get benefits of growth hormone, other than HRT, which is hormone replacement, I think you need to be doing more than 4 IUs, realistically.
Okay.
So growth hormone post-show, I like to leverage it. And if someone can afford it, I would always say, listen, we'll use less anabolics and we'll use more growth hormone in this phase. You will feel fuller, you will recover better, we'll keep better condition, and then we can always scale back the growth hormone use in the off-season push-up phase if we need to.
Yep.
Clenbuterol. I do not like to remove clenbuterol completely straight away. I like to taper it down. Again, I never remove Clen completely because it does skew electrolyte balance. So one thing you'll notice is someone will always get a little bit softer when you remove Clen straight away.
Yeah.
So I tend to keep in a very low dose of Clen in the peak week. And when someone's ready, I will always reduce the Clen from the dosage they needed to use for fat loss down to a maintenance dose of either 40 or 20 micrograms daily.
Yeah.
I will extend that post-show, and then I will remove it a week to 10 days after. This way, you don't just get an instant rebound with removing everything. With a lot of people, they do, right? And
Sure.
it's like, and then they wonder why a week later they look like a bag of potatoes because one, they've probably binged, two, they've removed Clen and all the other drugs that they was taking, and they've got like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Thyroid. If someone's using a HRT level of thyroid, or if they have used thyroid in prep, I personally do not use thyroid above physiological levels. So I do not leverage thyroid for fat loss. I do not believe thyroid is a great tool for fat loss. It's a great tool to lose muscle, if that's your goal. But personally, the max with thyroid use, I will go like 37 T3 and 150 T4. And ideally, I will always have clients check the blood work, and I will always want their thyroid to sit in mid to upper range. I never want that thyroid sitting in above physiological levels.
That cost to benefit really starts going down. I think you're right, above that like 37.5.
Absolutely.
You can definitely get more fat loss, but yeah, that's where you start risking more flatness, more muscle loss in the process too.
More flatness, worse recovery, worse sleep, very high resting heart rate. It's just not what you want.
Yeah.
Post-show, I think you should not remove thyroid immediately. The quickest way to recover your thyroid function is through an increase in carbohydrates and your body weight. So your body weight, if you have used thyroid, even at HRT doses, and you are looking to remove it, you need to have some time spent in a calorie surplus. You need to allow your body weight to come up, because guess what? Your thyroid essentially is all about keeping your metabolism in a baseline level, right?
Right.
What is going to increase your metabolism, Scott?
Food.
Body weight and food.
Yeah.
More you weigh, the higher your metabolism. More carbohydrates you eat, the quicker your thyroid recovers. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to remove your thyroid when you are eating a low amount of carbohydrates. Guess what will happen? Your energy levels will dip, and you likely will have that thyroid dip, and that then does not give you the opportunity to, one, recover your thyroid optimally, but also it doesn't give you an opportunity to get your calories back up.
Yeah.
So it's a double whammy. I'm trying to cover things layer by layer here, just so we're covering all bases with obviously the anabolics, thyroid, Clen, what else? L-Carnitine. I love L-Carnitine, and I do think it's something that can be used. If you have used stuff like SLUPP, any mitochondrial function stack, keep it in post-show. Again, it gives you an opportunity to maintain and improve your metabolism, and it gives you an opportunity to, again, recover quicker through being able to add more food quicker.
100%.
If anything, if someone hasn't used any of the mitochondrial function stacks, it could be a potential idea to even introduce it post-show. It would allow you to keep your 100%. It would allow you to stay leaner, and it would allow you to simply eat more food.
I love the idea too, if you start there, because we talked about it before, starting it before we start the off season. So you're already preparing for that off season right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then listen, you can always lower it when the off season starts. So let's say if you're using SLUPP, if you used it at 500 milligrams in prep, keep that 500 milligrams in post show. And then you can always remove it or drop it down to 250 when you start your off season.
Yeah.
So these are the things that you can also leverage post-show. I love injectable L-Carnitine. For me, it's a great tool. I definitely think potentially if someone is struggling with appetite, and if I have a client that I know is going to binge, I'm not against GLPs. Listen.
Yeah.
naturally, everyone has a very different appetite. Naturally, everyone has a very different drive to eat. If I have a chance or an opportunity to have someone reduce some of that food noise down and prevent them from binging, guess what? I'll take it all day long, because the most damage you see athletes have within their blood work is always the diet. It's never the drugs.
Yeah?
Yes, absolutely. I have literally probably thousand sets of bloods work. I would probably give you, if you gave me 5 minutes, legit, I could give you 50 examples of guys that I've worked with in past and current with using very little drugs but eating shit.
Yeah.
Put it bluntly.
Okay. Yeah.
And the blood work is trashed. And then I can give you 50 more examples of guys with pristine diets taking between 2 to 3 grams of gear, and their blood work is significantly better than the guys with the shit diets.
Yeah. No, I can see where you're coming from then.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So, listen, we're always circling back, right? We're always circling back to diet and training, not the drugs. Remember, guys, when we talk about these things, one thing I want you to understand is the importance of diet and drugs. And the fucking highlight, the most important thing now that you need to be focusing on is productive training post-show. Last year, guess what my total volume was per session on average?
I don't know, but I was going to ask you that because you said you ended up doing too much, right?
Way too much. I started off at like 20 working sets on average per session.
Okay. Now that's total for everything you're training, any
that
like
was
all body parts.
A push day, I think it was like 21 sets. A pull day, I think it was the same, and I think a leg day was like 17 sets.
Okay. Yeah, we did do a breakdown of that. I remembered thinking like, okay, but then at the same time I was like, well, I guess Kuba's a pro. He handles a lot more volume than I do. That was what I thought.
No. The more accurate you get, the stronger you get, the better the execution, the less volume you need.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I have literally wasted progress with the volume that I was running. So let me break down my current volume post-show for you. Pull, push legs, 3 days on, 1 day off. 12 working sets on push day. 13 working sets on pull day, and that is only 2 working sets of bicep. At the moment, only left bicep. 10 working sets on one of the leg days, and 11 working sets on the second leg day.
Okay.
So the total the total sets for the week, if we break down the week, is 71 working sets. So the average.
How many days are you training the split per week?
3 days on, 1 day off.
Okay, I got you.
So essentially, your training volume isn't just your number of sets. Your training volume is your intensity. Your training volume is your range of motion. Your training volume is your proximity to failure. So how hard you train makes up your training volume. So you have to understand this, guys. The better your execution, less sets you need. Harder you train, less sets you need. The better your exercise setup, less sets you need as well. More training frequency, so the more often you train, less sets you need per session as well.
I would even go as far as say that your volume isn't low still by any means. You know what I mean?
No. But no set is taken past failure.
Okay.
I stop every single set. The second I am unable to complete another rep without my execution breaking down.
Oh, dude, we're going full circle. I think this was our first episode, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes. You guys have to go back if you didn't see that one, because you outlined exactly how you plan your training through the post contest, into the off season, into the contest again.
Yep.
So you're not doing any intensifiers. That means right now, I
No.
bet, right?
I don't
Are
do
you
any.
still using machines over free weights for things like a pressing movement?
Amazing questions. Let's get stuck in.
Okay.
Right. No intensifiers at all. I am not a fan of intensifiers because it doesn't actually give me a quantifiable measure of progression. I track all my lifts using a logbook. So I want to have consistency in tracking my data. If I am unable to progress my logbook, it will be down to either not being accurate with my volume or potential lifestyle factors. However, I'm dialed in, so let's forget about that, right? Nutrition, hydration, routine, sleep, everything's on point, right? If everything's on point, my logbook will tell me if I'm doing too much volume because I'm not able to progress my lifts.
Yes.
If I am adding intensifiers just randomly, or if I'm adding intensifiers in general, the recovery demand that is placed on me doing the number working of sets that I have currently in my program would be too much. I could get away with doing drop sets or rest pause sets. And by the way, I only like rest pause sets. I don't like drop sets. I don't like the idea of using less weight. So let's just say, for sake of intensifiers, if I was to add rest pause sets, I would need to lower my actual volume significantly. I would probably need to shave off 4 working sets out of that each exercise. Out of that each session. However, Scott, my argument then would be, I'm doing less sets, I'm doing more intensifiers, but I am already leg pressing almost half a ton. So doing a rest pause set on leg press with that much weight, does it not make sense to just not do the rest pause set and just do another set?
Get the volume in without, here's the term I've been thinking of a lot lately is that every time we go to heart failure, we're smashing the CNS, right?
Absolutely.
And so if you can get, every time we do a rest pause, if we're doing like a traditional DC rest pause, you are hitting hard failure 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm all for this at this stage. I think that at other stages, man, I love rest pause,
Yeah, but guess what? If I do a rest pause set, I'm not able to train with the frequency I've got. I'm not able to train 3 days on, 1 day off. For me personally, when I switched to 3 days on, 1 day off with lower volume, it was like newbie gains again. I honestly progressed like I haven't done in years.
I love it, dude.
So,
I take it, man.
For me, post-show phase is all about setting a new baseline with training.
Yeah.
No intensifiers, lower volume, lower intensity to a degree. It is your opportunity now to improve your training execution, improve your exercise setup, improve your skill. And it's all about setting yourself up for progression. So I would always err on side of caution when it comes to picking your loading. I would rather undershoot the weight than overshoot the weight. Keep your rep ranges between 7 to 12 reps. I think that's the best rep range for bodybuilding across the board. 7 to 12. A little bit less on the compound work, a little bit higher on the isolation work. If I was to give you rough ranges, okay? That is the rep ranges that I would like to set for all of you guys. That's where I think you will make the best progress and be able to, most importantly, keep your execution tight. If I was to tell you to get on a hack squat and tell you to do 12 perfect repetitions, guess what? By the 7th or 8th rep, your execution's breaking down, man. Like, you're not going to be able to have the gas tank to be able to complete them reps with perfect execution. And then guess what? If you're on a hack squat, trying to get 11th or 12th rep, and your execution breaks down, that's when injuries happen. So picking appropriate rep ranges for appropriate exercises isn't just about having productive progress. It's a safety measure. Sometimes actually training heavier in slightly lower rep range is actually going to keep you safer, because the likelihood of you breaking down your execution in said lift is much lower when you only have 7 perfect reps to get in comparison to trying to get 12. Do you follow me?
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't agree 100% on
That's
it,
good.
but I
That's
don't
good.
think we have to. Do you know
That's
what I mean?
good. We
It's
don't have to agree, but tell me what you don't agree with, and we can have a back and forth.
I'm okay with higher rep ranges than that. I'd be okay even taking it up to 20, to be honest.
For who?
It depends on the individual. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because for me to do 20 reps on a hack squat, I still need to put a lot of weight on it. So the risk is just not worth it. Also, if I'm doing 20 reps on a hack squat, the CNS demand on that will be huge. And I'll give you an example on this. I did a set, the best set that I did for like higher rep work was 14 or 15 reps with 6 plates on the Cybex hack.
Okay.
I was wrecked for like 10 days when I did that set.
Yeah, you can get a lot out of each rep that you're doing, you know, and yeah, so I
in
can see
higher
where
rep
you're
work
coming
or
from.
lower rep work.
In just each rep period, you know, you know what I'm saying?
Let me just give you a comparison observation of mine. I did a 7-plate hack squat on the Cybex for 5 reps, and I was able to train legs again in 4 or 5 days time. No problem.
Okay. Yeah, and when I say you, I mean you specifically. Like you are well trained.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot out of every rep, probably more than a lot of our listeners
Absolutely.
are, you know.
But essentially, as someone's skill in training and intensity gets higher, I would always sit in slightly more appropriate ranges. I think higher rep work does have its merit for isolation exercises mostly, where you are going to be safer going in higher rep ranges. But another reason why I am not a fan of higher rep work post-show is simply you don't have enough fuel to facilitate that sort of rep range.
That's a great point.
You are just not eating enough food. You are just not eating enough food yet, and guess what? Post-show, you are still not fully recovered to be able to actually go into those higher rep ranges. Yeah. So you need to understand that working an appropriate rep range is going to facilitate your training recovery and facilitate your ability to progress at that moment in time. And guess what? If you nail down your nutrition, your rate of gain, your training volume, your drug setup post-show, I truly believe even in that phase, you have an opportunity to be able to gain some muscle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's totally possible.
Is there anything that we've missed? Or have we covered it like top to bottom now?
I think that was pretty solid. I think that was good. If anybody has questions, though, you guys comment. Let us know.
Absolutely. If I have missed anything, guys, I apologize. And if I have missed anything, comment below, and me and Scott will definitely cover it. So, what was the next subject?
You were going to go over, well, you were talking about your setup individually. Did we cover all of that?
Yeah, so 400 test, 100 primo, 10 hours of GH, 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps daily. My current calories on training day, and I'm actually probably going to bump them higher because I actually dropped weight. Yeah. Like I told you, it's Thursday now, so I've been on plan since Monday. The show was on Sunday. And I've actually dropped weight down to 240. So I stepped on stage at 242 Sunday morning. And my weight came down to 241.5 Monday, 241.7 Tuesday, 241.3 Wednesday. And today I actually came down to 240. And my current diet is training day, 4,300 calories, 337 grams of protein, 618 grams of carbs, 54 fat. Rest day is 3,464 calories, 348 protein, 396 carb, 54 fat. So I'll be honest, both days, training day and rest day, are probably going to need at least 200 calories. So I'll probably go an extra 40 carb and maybe 5 to 10 fat both days. Okay. And is there anything else? I've covered the training, haven't I?
Yeah, I think
I've covered the training, what I'm doing training-wise. Yeah, training, recap, pull, push legs.
Right.
13 working sets on pull days, 12 working sets on push days, 11/10 working sets on the leg days.
Let me ask you this. Yep. So moving forward, obviously you're thinking about what the next phase is going to be. You said there'll be like this 5 to 6 week break before you begin your off season. Maybe we can readdress then, but do you have an idea on how training is going to change when you hit that stage?
Oh,
Or is that something where you have to get through this to first see? You know what I'm saying?
great question. See, when you start with somewhat lower volume than you used to, it gives you an opportunity then to actually increase your volume. It's much easier for someone to increase their volume than decrease their volume, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as my food and gear comes up, my volume may increase, but it wouldn't be an extra 3-4 working sets. So I wouldn't go from 12 working sets to 15 working sets. I would literally add in 1 working set per session.
Okay.
So on push day, I would take my volume to 13 working sets. On pull day, I would take my volume to 14 working sets. On leg day, I would take my volume to 11/12 working sets. And the addition of the volume would be to my weaker areas only. So where I will add the volume will be 1 extra set of lat work, 1 extra set of chest work, 1 extra set of quad work. Boom,
Okay.
done. And then I add 1 working set in. I go for a training block of 6 to 7 weeks. I assess the progression. If all lifts are still moving up, guess what? If I'm recovering well, I may add another set. Again, adding it to the areas that I need most.
Yeah.
So your training volume can increase. However, it all depends on the feedback that I get with my recovery and my logbook.
Right. Yeah, no, okay. That makes sense. And that's something I think too, it'll be kind of cool to revisit that down
Absolutely.
the road, 6-8 weeks from now and see
We
where
can
you at with
definitely
it
do that we can set a reminder 8 weeks time, because if in 8 weeks time I will be in my push-up, so we can do a reminder of where my food is and where my training volume is and how I've made the progressions and what to do in case there's any troubleshooting and how to actually take it there. Now, my suggestion on how to increase your calories, guys, is I am 242 pounds. So for me to make a difference in my calorific intake to get the needle moving forward, I need at least 200 to 250 calories added to get me moving forward. If you are a 150 pound female watching this, you do not need 250 calories added. You probably only need 150, 100 to get the needle moving. If you're a 190 pound bodybuilder, guess what? Same again. You probably only need 30 grams of carbs adding and you're going to move again. And again, 30 grams of carbohydrates is what? 30 times 4, that's 120 calories, right?
Yeah.
You are better off going slower than faster, both with the changes that you make and with your rate of gain. Because guess what? You take your food up by 400 calories, you're probably not going to pull it back, but you'll probably gain 4 or 5 pounds quicker than you would have and should have.
Yeah. And you can't undo the fat as easily,
No.
once you get it.
And guess what? If you add that 120 calories and you don't see any movement, add another 100.
Yeah.
It's much easier to go slower because then you have more control over the rate of gain as well. And to me, it's just more logical way to do it as opposed to just making a change. That's a huge change. I do prefer to make, especially after, and that's another one. Post-show, right, you will make multiple changes at one time. It will be a reduction of cardio, a reduction in drugs, an increase in calories. It's a multitude of changes that then put you in a calorie surplus. Once you have made that change, I would always err on side of caution when it comes to making changes, and I would always prefer to try to stick to making at least 1 to 2 changes at a time. So the next change that you make, if your cardio expenditure is still high, lower only the expenditure.
Yeah.
The next change that you make, only add a little bit more food. Go step by step so you can actually see what's making the difference and what's actually moving the needle forward with your progression. Is it the food? Is it lowering the expenditure? Is it the training volume? Don't try and make all the changes at once. Be patient. I think that's a huge, huge thing people lack, especially post-show. You're not looking to grow tons of muscle. That post-show window is preparing your body for liftoff. You're getting healthy. you're setting up your training, you're setting up your execution, you're rebuilding your food, you're rebuilding your social life, your sleep, all of these things that are going to help you essentially make more progress on the other side, right?
Yeah, taking care of your bills, taking care of your house, all of those
100%.
things too. The things that, we try to be 100%, but you get closer to the show, some of those things slip. I've got a question for you, and I think this might trigger you.
Trigger me.
We talked about this on It's Just Bodybuilding with you before, but this came up with a client today. He is, I think, about 6 weeks out right now, and we addressed his caffeine intake. It is very high. And he's struggling with sleep. He trains later in the day. He already knows, so he doesn't need the lecture. All right, we talked in depth this morning. But here's the thing, man. He's in this place now where we can't just pull it all out and stop. It's kind of too late. That ship has kind of sailed to reset everything. You know what I'm saying? So we're tapering it back, working damage control. But my concern is that he's in a state right now getting insomnia, and he's always dealt with sleep issues, that I think that the cortisol is like, he's in the early stages of adrenal fatigue, and we can get through this prep managing that. But I've seen it happen. In fact, I've seen it happen recently of somebody who had a real struggle with bringing those doses down on stims.
First, I would audit what caffeine sources he's using, and I would only switch to caffeine only, just coffee. But to be honest, in his case, I would actually make him take 3 days off training, and I would make him go cold turkey. So the only way now for him to get back on track is taking days off. 3 days complete rest, bring his calories back to maintenance, so he has the energy to be able to not rely on the caffeine. If he enjoys the caffeine, switch to decaffeinated sources, so decaf tea, decaf coffee, to keep him going. And I would also audit soft drinks. Again, I've done a lecture on my YouTube on caffeine intake, and I've done a separate in-depth lecture for my mentorship and my clients on caffeine intake, because people often forget that there's actually caffeine in stuff like Diet Coke. And people are drinking a litre of Diet Coke before bed. And it's like, yes, you're drinking a lot of caffeine there, mate. So your total caffeine intake...
I want to step you back even before that. Let's go to the beginning of prep. At the end of the day, caffeine is a performance-enhancing drug. There's been studies to show, man, you get increased performance. I was thinking about it this morning. This is like some of my early morning waking up thoughts today. We don't want to sacrifice performance as we are dieting into a show, and we want to do anything we can to keep pushing. And it's very easy then to get caught in that trap, especially with like the popularity of pre-workouts, the availability of energy drinks, all of that. So what would you say is a good regimen going into the prep when it comes to over-the-counter stims, or just stims in general?
I don't use stims.
Zero, huh?
Zero stimulants. And you know what? My energy levels through prep were great until about 4 p.m. And 4 p.m., that's when I was... and that's something I've noticed with clients as well. The second I remove all stimulants, and I do that before prep, and I always do that with most clients that I first take on, I scale everything back. The drugs, the caffeine intake, everything.
Yeah.
I don't use stimulants. I just use straight caffeine, straight coffee and pump products. And then I do use nootropics as well, if needed.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't use stimulants at all, because the cost to benefit isn't worth the trade-off, especially for guys that are stronger and bigger. The neurological drive that they get from stimulants is counterproductive for them. One, they overshoot and end up overtraining and overstimulating themselves in the gym, which then impacts the training recovery, impacts the fat loss because fatigue's so high, and then again, sleep is in the bin. So again, fat loss just gets worse and worse. And what is the goal in prep? The goal is sustaining training performance, and the goal is making sure that the sleep stays protected. It doesn't matter how much caffeine intake. If your sleep is in the bin, there's no amount of caffeine, no amount of drugs, no amount of orals, no amount of trend that's going to save you.
Yeah.
So I essentially scale back on the intake of caffeine, and I switch everyone over onto just caffeine. No monsters, nothing like that. And the difference that I notice in the general sustained energy levels throughout the day is huge. And yes, you do get a performance benefit from caffeine. However, all of the studies show anything above 200 or 250 milligrams in one hit is actually counterproductive.
It's a lot, man.
So, and 200 milligrams is, it's not though, it's 4 shots of espresso.
That's a lot.
People drink that.
I know people are doing it, but it's a lot, man.
People drink that constantly. So it's, it's definitely something that I order. As a reference point, in terms of caffeine intake, 3 to 5 milligram per kilogram of body weight, I think, is a sweet spot, and I think that's still on the high side.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that's good. I had one other question related to that topic. I can't remember what it was offhand, but yeah, I'd seen both sides of it, and I'd seen both sides of it in my own preps, man. And I can tell you that over stimming by the end that's where I felt the most fatigue by the end of the prep. And you definitely, man, it's like I know a guy who has Hashimoto's and he doesn't produce cortisol. He literally can't get up out of bed in the morning until he takes his prescription cortisol. And you can drive yourself to that place. I think a lot of the issues we run into in our preps with fatigue are related to, because we don't want to take our foot off the gas. So we, hit the button instead of
it's just
accepting where we're at,
Poor fatigue management. At the end of the day, like in that instance, when someone's already overdoing the stims, the only way to get him fixed is complete rest, calories at maintenance, 3 days rest, resetting him. And then guess what? After that, he will feel so much better. And I can probably put money on it. He'll probably lose weight from eating more and resting. Because
and it'll look better.
He's probably inflamed. He's probably super fatigued. He's probably not sleeping. First day of higher food and no caffeine, he's going to sleep like a baby. Especially if you give him a little bit more carbohydrates before bed. Lights out, good night.
Yeah. There's a lot going on there, so I won't get into it too much more.
Of course,
but I know we had talked about that before, and it's just bodybuilding with you. So I was like, I want to get to Kuba talking about that. Hey, listen, there's one other thing I did have to ask you about. Yep. So you said you're training right now. You explained your breakdown. You're like, I'm doing 2 sets of biceps on 1 bicep. Why are you only training 1 bicep, Kuba? And why are there people saying get well soon, man, in the comments here? Speedy recovery.
I tore my brachialis, partially tore my brachialis tendon posing on stage on my first round of comparisons in Germany.
God, dude.
So, but check this out. I contacted Ali Noorani that day. Monday at 4 p.m. I was on the flight home. Tuesday I was in London at his office at 11:30. By 5 p.m. I had an MRI of my right shoulder and my whole right arm. I had an x-ray of both of my shoulders. I had a consultation with him, and his radiologist already gave him the breakdown of what she saw in the ultrasound scan. The following morning, he was on the phone to me, already giving me a lowdown of what's going on, saying, look, he's 90% sure may not need surgery, but he doesn't want to completely rule it out. He's going to let me know and review everything ASAP. But he's been keeping in touch with me, keeping me calm. So I've been doing rehab work on my right arm already. All the peptides, all the growth, obviously. So listen, shit happens. I'm fortunate enough to be able to train still. And it's not the first time. I mean, I've got an injury in my brachialis because I actually got stabbed in my left arm in 2017, 3 weeks out, and I still managed to make the show, and I trained through it. So,
I think you told us that story long time. No, maybe you told me that story off the air once. That's what it was. Yeah.
So there is no real, you can't really see it, but you can see it on the ultrasound and MRI where there's a rupture to the tendon. But luckily, both my bicep tendons are perfect. So there's zero damage to the actual bicep tendon. It's literally just the brachialis tendon rupture. So partial tear of the brachialis tendon in my right arm. And I did it doing a most muscular.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy,
So,
dude. And you knew it the minute you hit it. You're like, oh shit, this is bad.
I felt a pop. Yeah, I felt a pop. And that wasn't the first round comparisons. I had to then come off stage and do my individual. So I did my individual with it already as well. But then I came off stage. When it first happened, I nearly passed out. Like, I felt like my feet nearly went away from under me. Like, you know that gut feeling you get, like, where your stomach drops?
Yeah.
I felt sick. I was like, fuck my arm. I don't know what's happened. And, you know, you get worse than straight away in your head.
Yeah.
I did my individuals. Meg came over after and she was like, what's up? Because she could tell something was wrong. I was like, I think I've just fucked my arm up. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I go back out? Like, what do I do? I ended up going straight to the ambulance. I was going to a hospital that day, but it would have just been a waste of time. Instead, I got in contact with him that day. Massive shout out to Becky, who's like our assistant. She next day she was on the phone sorting everything out for me as well. So all the appointment and everything else was set. So yeah, and literally Monday night, that night, Dave actually, I actually had some peptides as well, left over. And I messaged Dave straight away. I was like, Dave, what's the best protocol? Blah, blah. I was like, okay. I put that in. So luckily I had some BPC and TB500 already. But again, RP peptides and Proforma peptides both sent me care packages. So I'm all peptide up. So peptides are going in. So yeah, we're going to be good to go. Guys, I'm going to start eating. Man. I'm going to start eating.
Let's get out of here.
Hypo.
Oh shit, let's get out of here real quick. We're done with this thing anyway, guys. Reach out to Kuba for coaching. You can follow his YouTube. I've got all that stuff linked below. Of course, thank you to everybody from Patreon. Leave us questions for the next show. And Kuba, man, I'm glad you're in one piece, brother. I'm glad you're going to get through this without any problems, I'm sure. 20 freaking pounds plus on stage is an absolutely incredible feat to have gained in 1 year, man. Like, I don't know if people who don't compete can't realize how big that is. And I'm looking forward to seeing you do it again, man.
Guys, we'll be back again soon with another one, and we'll go into anything you need in depth, and hopefully we get some great questions off the back of this one that we can cover. And I'm pretty sure we've got some questions from last one as well that we do need to cover. So it might be a bit more of a Q&A episode. So guys, thank you so much.
Perfect.
And we'll see you again soon.